Hi everyone, today is the 21st of February 2024 and your word from Spirit today is kind of when your car can't start and you need a battery jump. That's kind of like the word feels today. So you are in a place where you have convinced yourself that it's easier to play small. Right? It's easier if I don't do the most, if I don't shine too hard, right? And I was in the car and driving and thinking of the grandeur of how magnificent God created us to be, right? For endless possibilities. And then you go through life and nobody really awards or rewards those that shout too much about their accomplishments. We don't really value it until we really see people like, okay, for example, like you take like people like Martin Luther King, because it is Black History Month, but you take someone like Martin Luther King Jr. and I can only envision that when he started his process, it looked a little something like he felt alone because he had to trust God. God was leading him in this path that was going to be opposite of what everybody else was doing, right? And even though everyone else might have been complacent or not called to step out and make this bold move, he was being called to step out and make this bold move. And people look back now and we think that maybe all he got was praises at the time. And yes, eventually he pulled a crowd, but he is more honored now than he probably was when he began that process. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? Take Nelson Mandela, for example. I can imagine him in prison and imagine those years where he had no idea that him stepping out to do the things that probably were the most uncomfortable without knowing what the results would be would make him a global name. Okay. It is easier sometimes to get into your regular routine and tell yourself there's nothing special about me. God uses everybody else. But you know what? I'm gonna just do blah, 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 blah. But you're in a place, in a space where your body is trying to send you a message and you've been literally feeling like there's gotta be more to life than just this. There's gotta be more. I've got to experience more than what I'm experiencing right now. And this is where I come in. I came to tell you that it's time to think bigger. That it's time to dream bigger. That it's time to embrace those aspects of yourself that you have tucked away for so long because you didn't want to be disappointed. The fear of not having what you want and what you are desiring is holding you back from desiring the thing. Can you imagine creating an obstacle for yourself, from a barrier that stops you, that becomes a hindrance for you from getting to what you want to get to, only because you're anticipating not having it? But what if I choose to even feel the fear and still want what I want? What if? So my prayer for you today is that the eyes of your understanding be flooded with light. That you know what is the truth. That you know the depth, the height, the width, the length, the breadth of God's love for you. Because God's love isn't this thing that comes and you're like, oh my God, I feel so good. No, God's love comes to shine light on the truth of who you are so you can rise up and be everything you were created to be, because your journey here on earth is an experiential one. You are meant to experience. You are meant to live. You are meant to enjoy. You are meant to live out the fullness of what life has to offer. You are meant to experience ecstasy. You are, not the drugs. I meant like ecstatic feelings and so, child. I don't know how we got there. Not that type of ecstasy. I don't know. Not that. Not drugs. We don't do drugs. But you were meant for such bigness, hugeness, grandeur. And when we think of those, we almost think of them in a materialistic way sometimes. We're not all meant to have the grandeur of materialism, because all of us don't all want the same thing. But even if we did, there is enough provision in the world to be able to provide. You would have what you want, and I would have what I want, and there's no lacking or need. The problem is your thoughts of lack keep creating more lack for you. So your fear and the resistance that you've bought into of the disappointment of not having keeps you in lack. But what if today you would make the decision and say, I want to be brave and I want to be bold and I just want what I want. You have not because you ask not. And you're not asking because you're afraid of being disappointed by not having it. But I come to tell you, want what you want recklessly. And I use that word intentionally because at some point you have to say, I don't care what it looks like. I don't care who thinks what they think. I don't care who feels some type of way. I want what God has for me. I want the bigger life. I want the grandeur. I want the things that I've been desiring since I was a child. I want to experience life on a bigger scale. I want to play big. Think big. Think big. And big for all of us is different. Okay? Your big is not my big. And that's okay. But what your big is. Stop holding yourself back. Want it, and want it fiercely. Think big. Think big, and big is coming. Think small, and you stay where you're at. It's your choice. I'll talk to you guys tomorrow. Bye. Love you.